Good evening. I hereby call the regular meeting of the Administrative Appeals Board of November 13th, 2024 to order. My name is David Parker. I'm filling in for Chair Basili, who is out today. First of all, we'd like to welcome our alternate board member Winterbaum. Welcome. Board Secretary, please conduct a roll call.
Board Member Hine.
Here.
Board Member Herman.
Present.
Board Member Corinne.
Here.
Board Member Winterbaum.
Here.
And Vice Chair Parker.
Here.
5 members present.
Our next item is the acceptance of the agenda. The board can discuss and may amend the order of the agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion and a second for acceptance of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Board Secretary, please take the vote.
Board Member Hine.
Aye.
Board Member Corinne.
Aye.
Board Member Herman.
Aye.
Board Member Winterbaum.
Aye.
And Vice Chair Parker.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
The next item is public comment. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the board on items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. 3 minutes will be assigned to each speaker, and although the board values your comments pursuant to the Brown Act, the board generally cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Testimony for hearings will only be taken at the time of the hearing. Board Secretary, please begin the public comment period.
We do not have any public speakers.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the appeal of the administrative abatement fees in the amount of $90,244.51 assessed to Irgardis LLC at 593 West Avenida Circa for violations of Palm Springs Municipal Code 11.72 and 11.72090. Board Secretary, please ensure the city staff and the appellant understand that their testimony is under oath.
We do have signed affidavits from city staff and that is in person. Anyone on Zoom who desires to testify under this appeal hearing under the laws of perjury, if you choose to speak, you hereby accept and acknowledge that your testimony shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Staff, please present your report.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Vice Chair, board members, city staff, residents joining us this evening. My name is Patrick Clifford with the Department of Special Program Compliance and Code Compliance is a division of our. Before you this evening is a staff report regarding the now vacant lot located at Circa. You'll see in your staff report there is great amount of detail about the background relating to this property and the staff. So I'll try my best to kind of go over in detail, but yet be brief about the background due to what led to the assessment of fees related to the abatement of this property. What is on appeal this evening is the amount of the fees that were expensed by the city of Palm Springs, and the background will give you information on what led to those fees. Pursuant to Municipal Code 1172-250, notice of assessment, which is part of our public nuisance abatement procedures, when once the public nuisance has been abated by the city, our department, a directive department shall then invoice the responsible person, owner of all the costs and expenses that are accrued by the city. That responsible person then has to appeal such fees pursuant to Chapter 2.50 of the Municipal Code. That's the Administrative Appeals Board here in the city of Palm Springs. So this parcel was not always a vacant lot. In the background, you can see that there was once a single family dwelling that was built in 1962. In 2021, there was a fire at the property that caused significant damage, which made occupying the property for residential use unsafe. In March of 2022, Code Compliance Department received concerns from the neighbors of the blighted conditions that remained after the fire. A Code Compliance then started the route of compliance, which was a notice of violation asking for voluntary compliance and listed in detail to obtain permits for demolition of the property and to remove the structure and to remove all refuse and waste from the property. After no action was taken by the owner and no engagement with the city by the owner, the case was submitted to the city attorney in June of 2022 for review and abatement proceedings. In October of 2022, the Riverside County Superior Court issued an abatement warning authorizing the entry, inspection, and abatement of nuisance conditions. And in December of 2022, an asbestos inspection was completed. In February of 2023, staff requested from City Council an appropriation of monies to the abatement service account under code compliance in the amount of $405,000, giving us a path and funding to handle any abatement cases that came forward to the city. In June of 2023, after all appropriate notifications to the owner was completed, exhaustion of any appeal window for such requests as noted in the notice of violation, the city worked with the procurement department to secure 3 bids pursuant to our municipal code. On page 40 of the staff report, it shows the policies and procedures illustrating the requirements for services between $25,000 and $75,000 must be accompanied by 3 written proposals. In June of 2023, the procurement department secured 4 proposals as listed on page 5. ServPro, being the lowest bidder, was selected as a contractor of choice to perform such abatement. In July of 2023, a new notice to abate was issued to the property due to the new ownership identified. Both parties in these letters were identified, the previous owner and the new owner, given a chance, one more chance to voluntarily comply with the violations that were identified in the property. Staff analysis confirms that there was a public nuisance at the property and the owner failed to bring the property into compliance. The city followed the abatement process, worked with the attorney to secure an abatement warrant, and contracted a vendor to perform abatement services to abate the public nuisance. Pursuant to our public nuisance municipal code, once the public nuisance or the code violation has been abated, as previously mentioned, the director shall serve the responsible party with an invoice itemizing all costs and expenses incurred by the city, specifying the fee due to the city as a result of the enforcement. The fee in subject this evening is $90,244.51 as detailed in invoice 7837, which is located on page 60. This fee includes the contracted amounts of $64,949.81. And that fee includes the abatement services that were done in the fall. City attorney fees of $24,688 and administrative fees, which consist of code compliance of $606. Staff sent 4 invoices to the owner with a final invoice on September 9th, 2024. The first invoice was sent in February of 2024, the second invoice in June of 2024, the third invoice in July of 2024, and then the final one as mentioned in September of 2024. Each invoice was certified, sent, and received by a person who signed for the delivery. The appellant provided the appellant provided in their appeal a proposal for February 2022, which was prior to the code compliance case being started, but no action was taken during this entire time to fix or assure the compliance officer a route to be fixed. The fees paid by the city reflect a competitive and fair bid process where contractors were invited to provide proposals based on the scope of work where appropriate permits were pulled by the contractor. Steps to reduce the exposure to hazardous materials were taken, and prevailing wages were paid. Additionally, on our call, on the Zoom call, we do have the code compliance officer that handled the case, Officer Wade, as well as the code compliance supervisor, Napan, on the call to answer any questions. And myself is available to answer any questions that you may have. Again, for the appeal, we are looking to address the fees that were expensed from the city of Palm Springs. That concludes my.
Just to be clear, are the code officers testifying or they're there for questions?
They are here for questions.
Thank you. Okay, are there questions from the board? I have one. Did the city ever hear from the appellant after the initial nuisance notice?
I believe there was, communication between the owner, and the code compliance officer. Officer Wade is here to talk a little bit more about that, about what communication that may have occurred. But there was acknowledgement, obviously, of the nuisances that were on the property. Obviously, there was the scope of work that was provided by the town, but I'd invite, Officer Wade to provide his comments on any conversation with the owner. Thanks.
So in January of 2023, there was a title transfer to a Julian Anaya. And when we noticed this change of ownership, the original notice was then sent to that owner, who emailed us on January 16th, and made contact that way. We then gave him a little bit of time to correct the violation, and I followed up with him again in March of 2023, and then again in April of 2023, and finally in April of 2023 I heard back from him, but we had already continued the process as it had been going on for so long. In terms of eGardis, I never heard from anybody from eGardis.
That was the original owner at the time of the abatement, is that right?
At the time of the original complaint, and when we started the case, it came back to eGardis, and then it switched to Anaya Properties in January of 23, and then I think it switched back to eGardis more recently.
Yes, Vice Chair, to clarify on what Officer Wade about the transfers of ownership, I guess you could say. The original owner, as we show, was eGardis, an LLC. In January 2023, Anaya Properties LLC did, at least from a sell and transfer record, purchase the property.
They don't purchase, they steal the property.
Sir, in just a second until your turn, we're gonna give you a chance to speak.
And then the property transferred back to eGardis LLC, due to, from what the records show in Riverside County, specifically as a corrective quitclaim deed, stating that this was being recorded to confirm title to eGardis LLC due to a forged grant deed recorded on January 17, 2023. So from what I could see on the records from the city, county of Riverside, is that the ownership was with eGardis. There's record of an Anaya LLC properties, and then it comes back from where what the documents say, what the county say,
Okay,
mentioning a forged grant deed.
all right, thank you. One other question for you. You mentioned that during the process, you approached the council for funding of the abatement process. I think you said 405,000, but is that like whatever you have in the queue for the abatements?
That's Yeah, that's correct. So during this time frame, code compliance was transitioning from the police department to our department, special program compliance. And at the same time, abatement concerns were more than one across the city. We identified at that time there was actually no abatement budget built into the code compliant budget. So before we can even proceed with going further with any like large scale abatements, we did have to secure funding to make sure we had this funding to actually pay for such expenses.
So this was to build the budget going forward, correct? Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for the city? Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to open the appeal hearing. The appellant is invited to speak for up to 10 minutes. Any members of the public who desire to speak at this appeal hearing, will have up to 3 minutes to speak. If any member of the public testifies, the appellant will be invited to provide a rebuttal for up to 2 minutes, up to 2 additional minutes. Appellant, come on up and have a seat here. Please state your name for the record.
eGardis.
Can you press the button on your microphone right there? Thank you. Go ahead and say your name again.
First of all, regarding that, the ownership. Actually, the LLC identity is being stolen and it's been sold without notifying me. And it's still, I mean, it's in Riverside County, it's still the case open, criminal case. Plus even on that property, they somehow to stole the property and they took the construction loan of like 250,000, what it's still on the property. And I mean, I can submit those papers, but when my wife contact you regarding that, they tell it's nothing with, with the demolishing, but in reality, the LLC identity, it's been stolen on somewhere on 12/22/22. On January 17th, it's been illegally sold. Even all the LLC that, our address, everything, it's been changed to that, whatever you say, that Amaya properties. Like for few months, or we don't even know, like we're not the owners of that property. Officially, the title company returned that to Egerdas LLC on July 25, 23. And it's officially, the properties go back. And until now, they have that criminal hearing like last month on 23rd, I believe. Kind of the same day I supposed to have this hearing here. So we go to that Riverside County, talk to the lawyer who's in charge with that. He gave me a bunch of the papers, but the reason why I'm not submitted, I mean, it's still active. The next hearing is somewhere in December, and it's still that 240,000, the construction loan, what I don't know how they managed to get that. So when all it go together, I mean, it's everything been at the same time, and we've been so confused with all that. We don't even owners at that time when you start that demolition for whatever that warrant, abandonment, and at that time we don't even own the property, and it's been so confusion. And like even before it's get on the fire, yeah, regarding the city police. I'm sure they have notes, and few times called the city police, it's been right there. Few times somebody's breaking the house, and one I even found somebody lives there illegal without, we don't have the power, nothing for the house, we're just planning in future to rebuild that. So I managed to get those guys out, I mean, ran couple times, U-Haul, kind of clean everything around, even probably you have on those pictures, I pushed the dirt in the front. Oh, I built the fences, push the dirt in the front, run the tractor, not to get the access to the backyard. They still, I don't know how they do that. They drive around, and it's always we have the issue, but it's not like I don't do nothing. I always try to clean, and even in the front, I did the concrete, I did the front fence, I did the front side fences, and spend money on that one. Even being in the city with the plans, with planning to add whole garage. The idea is being kind of used like for the winter and summertime. We're working right now, like third year already. I'm working in Oregon, so I'm not even in California at that time. Now when they demo, first of all, it's really kind of high price. I'm like for 30 years in construction. And what's been the reason to demo the fences? I mean, the concrete driveways, everything, why they pull everything out. I don't know what else to do. Mostly it's at that time, I'm really not the owner, and the identity is being stolen, and they have proofs from that criminal lawyer who's working with that. It's still active case, and technically I don't have their house right now, and I owe Palm Springs City like 90,000. I owe 240,000. I don't know who and for what, and it's nothing there. Yeah, like in 22, I just I have like few estimates before, like even after the fire, just planning to rebuild the roof and install the windows, just go back on the same size, but when everything starts, it's I just,
Are you finished? Is that it?
I guess I'm finished, I mean,
Okay.
but I don't know, can I, it's too late to give you like those court papers, criminal court papers, like where it's telling like what it's still active, what's going on, it's in Riverside County. It's the real estate fraud department who's work.
It may not be necessary, but I think it's, once the hearing is started, is that, do you like the documentation?
I mean, yeah, typically you would produce the 6 copies so each of them can see it.
I don't have that many, I just have one set of orders.
Do you want to produce it as a record?
Yes, yeah. I don't know what you need, all of that, what he's giving me. Criminal. Case print, I have 2 orders. And I have. And I have 1 copy of that. When I filed,
Council, in this case, should we go to questions first, or should we see it?
those 2, it's the same ones, it's kind of what's going on right there.
I don't think the documents are gonna be relevant to deciding this issue.
Okay,
You can submit them, but
Okay.
I would go to question.
okay. Okay, thank you for your testimony. I'm gonna open it up to questions. Board Secretary, are there any public comments?
No.
Okay, we will now close the public hearing. Oh wait, I skipped over something, didn't I? Yes, no, I did not. We'll close the public hearing. I'd like to open it up for discussion and additional questions from the board. So questions for the appellant?
Chair, if there's gonna be questions of the appellant, I recommend keeping the public hearing open.
Did I misread the script?
I don't know what is on your script, but if there's gonna be some Q&A with the appellant, the public hearing should be open.
Okay. Thank you. Questions for the appellant? Board Member Herman?
I do have a question. At the time of the fire in February of 2021, you were the owner of record, correct? The house was titled in your name, correct?
Yeah, it's already like for 8 or 9 years already.
Can I ask what was the cause of the fire?
I even get the note, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after the fire, they mailed me from, I guess from fire, I don't even know what it's caused the
Were
fire.
you living in the house at the time?
No,
of the
we
fire?
never lived in the
You
house.
never lived in the house?
No, I just did like the driveway, the fence, put a gate in the front, even the giant sliding gate, it's been stolen. And,
So the house was always unoccupied.
all the time, from the moment when we buy, we kind of try to make extra money and for retiring, like to rebuild and have the small house.
Did you have homeowners insurance at the time of the fire?
No, because I'm pay cash and I mean, we don't live, we don't rent that. I'm just bored. Have the metal on the windows kind of board, everything and feels when I do the fence and close, feel it's be kind of secure.
You did receive from the city the document or the letter stating that they were trying to contact you and
The first one I'm really miss because the wife at that time, she in Europe and I'm in Oregon working and I don't even know who signed, maybe the son or the daughter also don't live with us at that time. I know she have somebody at that time who's kind of feed a cat and I don't know who's even signed those papers. I just got the papers and I'm back kind of by down to the summer and already been second or third note of
questions I have.
Thank you. Other questions? No? I am done with the, so the fire happened in February 2021. that the fire department contacted you or the city or somebody contacted you to let you know there was a fire because you were out of town. What were your plans with the property after the fire?
When I saw that, it's kind of, the roof, it's not that much inside, anyway, I'm planning to rebuild the roof.
Mhm.
The year before, even my wife did that, but we don't found any. She worked like architect. She did the drawings again, and that's it, kind of to replace the windows, like inside, it's been empty, it's no kitchen cabinets, nothing. Kind of remodel and add on the side small garage. And I bring those papers here, those drawings, they ask, I supposed to do something, something extra or some, I am. Mail somewhere or email, don't remember, they don't write there. So after the fire, I go back to see what's going on. And it doesn't look like that much damage, so I just contact few companies to like, to demo existing roof, because most of the roof has been burned already, and just planning to get the permits, rebuild the roof, install windows again, and not like to finish, because I really don't have enough money at that time just to enclose the roof, do the windows, and kind of keep them closed again, but we don't get at that time, and I don't know why we don't get. It's been somewhere in beginning in 22 February or whatever, when we started to looking to, I mean, to fix that.
Okay, so
Even outside before fire, maybe 2 months or something, 3 months before fire, when I have the police right there, when they helped me to get those kind of whatever guys who stay right there. Actually, lady is being pregnant, and the police said we cannot keep that. It's been really big confusion. But next week, I just gave those guys like week. I told like I'm coming and throwing everything out. They bring bunch of the stuff from somewhere, and just came after the week. Went U-Haul and did 2 loads to dump.
Okay, thank you. So the fire was in February 2021. It looks like the city didn't even start any processes for whole another year until March 2022. And that was in response to neighbors complaining. I mean, I'm looking at the pictures and it's not in good shape, right? So why didn't you take care of it before then?
Like I told you, we a little bit out of money at that time. And even the neighbors, I'm surprised. I mean, on the side, it's been kind of the house what it's built, maybe at time, maybe 6 or 7 years before somebody's live and they or sell or move out. Somebody's breaking that house, kind of newer house, and another side neighbor. To get to my yard, it's just from that side neighbor, and I always have the issue with that guy. I mean, he's parked his cars on my property, like in the front when I push the dirt, it's no direct access from the front to the back of the house. And I don't think he can complain because really strange neighbor.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions. Does anybody else have?
I'm sorry, I do have one more. You mentioned that you weren't able to repair the property due to lack of money. Was there an opportunity for you to possibly get a loan to repair the property and fix the damage at all? Were you able to secure a loan?
Actually, we put on. I have some lot it's in Victorville, and plus another vacant lot. So we by the end, beginning 23, somewhere by the end or middle of 22, we put all those lots to sell, not to get. At that time, I'm not working. Like before, I've been in construction business, and early 22, I have accident, kind of vehicle. It's been big accident. For a couple of years, I cannot work, and they have like massages, everything. Even right now, the right hand, it doesn't work like it worked before. So that's why we decide to sell like whatever what we're not using, get some money, and at least to do that minimum to rebuild the roof and install the windows and enclose.
Thank you. Board Member Herman, was that any other question?
Just one more, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this. So at the time that you got the bid from Baltic Builders for the total of $22,320, were you able to negotiate with them that price or maybe a payment plan, anything of that nature?
No, because at that time, we don't, he's make that one, but we don't go any further. I'm kind of look, at that time, I have another one from different guy, but I cannot, at least I contact that guy, he's have, like, he's resend me, he's have, in the files, he's found that. He's resend me because I'm even, I don't know what I did with the papers and like even the drawings, I'm lost under all that package, what they have, all those papers and we don't get to that point, and even the optionals, what it's been, because like electrical, whatever AC, I mostly I do myself all that stuff, just like framing. He's supposed to do more like demo framing, and to remove drywall, whatever, but insulation, like to put new drywall, I have like another guys, we don't go deeper and with stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Please.
For the city, I'm sure it's not a standard policy, I'm sure this doesn't happen very often, but why was the concrete removed in the driveway?
No, it's in the front, circular driveway in the front, where it's the big gate and smaller gate.
Yeah, so our vendor just complied with what the abatement warrant stated. The abatement warrant, I believe, stated that removal of all structures, foundations included, let me fill that up really quick.
Yeah, I think it's about clearing up.
Yeah, so they followed what the scope of work issued by the Superior Court to remove, so I can get that verbiage for you really quick here. And there.
Even at that time, I have the water meter because I'm used to water the small palms, the palm trees in the front by the sidewalk.
Okay, so that's.
So, yes, pursuant to the abatement warrant, it said, that we are authorized to include a walkthrough and pre-bid of through the subject property, asbestos testing of subject property, removal of all structures and foundations on the subject property, and demolition of substandard buildings on the subs.
No, I'm sorry, my question wasn't clear. I understand why it was
Okay.
done. But why was the court ordering that to be done? I thought it was just to remove the.
Yeah, I believe it was just fall into what was identified as a nuisance with the code compliance case. I asked Officer Wade if there was, if that was included, the reason why the structure, the foundation was included in that too. Don't know if the damaged foundation, not 100% sure.
Did you get your question answered? Okay. Any last questions for the appellant? Okay, we will now close the public hearing. I'd like to open up to the board for discussion. What say you, board? I'm happy to go. So, I feel for the appellant. I realize it was a difficult situation and difficult financial situation. However, it appears to me that the city gave them more than ample time to rectify the situation. And then when it went to the Superior Court, followed the order of the court, the abatement process and sent out the applicable notices. I don't think that I think the testimony was a forged deed in sort of the middle. It was the LLC's property. They transferred to another LLC and then when title discovered the forged deed, they moved it back to the previous LLC. That doesn't seem material to me, given that this started in 2021 and city started the process. It's unfortunate, but I think the city followed their mandate. They got 4 bids instead of 3, and they went with the lowest one.
I agree with you. I think this is a difficult case in many ways, and if there is a criminal proceeding, as the appellant indicates, that he's able to find some relief there somehow. But I'm not sure it has any bearing on what we're here to do today. So,
Board Member Corrin, feeling the same?
I would,
Turn your mic on, please.
I would advise the appellant to use that. Seek remediation in the criminal case. Our hands are kind of tied, court ordered.
Board Member Herman? How are you feeling?
I feel the same way. I really feel for you. I know this is a horrible situation. I'm very sorry this happened to you. The city did get 4 bids. They notified you of what was happening. That's why I was asking about your proposal that you got, why action wasn't taken at that time. That's where I was coming from, just trying to get more detail on
Yeah.
that. So unfortunately, I think we do need to rule on this as term.
Right. Board Member Twon?
Yeah, my only point of curiosity was that criminal case, what kind of bearing it may or may not have on this situation, but I feel like I got my question answered on that, so I would defer to you.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we uphold, the city's citation and its assessment, under the nuisance abatement.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Board Secretary, please take the roll.
Board Member Hein.
Aye.
Board Member Winterbottom.
Aye.
Board Member Herman. Board Member Corinne. And Vice Chair Parker.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0 to adopt the resolution upholding.
Mr. Irregardless, the city will be in touch with you in terms of next steps. Okay, so that the amount was upheld, and they'll be in touch with you in terms of next steps. Thank you for your time.
One more time, if you, what is next?
No, we're done. Sorry, the city will be in touch with you in terms of next steps. Okay? The amount was upheld. The amount of the fine, the amount of the abatement was upheld.
What would be the next step?
Be happy to answer.
Sure, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so, pursuant to our code, since the amount of the fee was confirmed by this administrative appeals board, it is deemed immediately due, and delinquent if not paid within 10 days. If not paid within 10 days, we will take this matter to the city council for a scheduled public hearing. We'll put a lien on the property for any unpaid expenses that were by this public nuisance. So the fee is immediately due, and you have 10 days to pay that before it becomes delinquent.
You mean that 90,000 to pay in 10 days?
From our municipal code, that's how it reads. Yes, it's payable due now, and delinquent within 10 days of this hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Irregardless. Thank you for your time. You know, this is difficult. Thank you.
I can make copies and just put it on record. But what they're deciding was with the property itself, so.
But even that notice on the 4 of 22,
It's been.
just, I did store and felt when it,
We're sorry, the hearing is closed.
Sandra, if you wanted it on the record, you should make copies and include it.
Can't leave the hearing, still have to wait and talk to the
It's
meeting
fine.
over or
We
what.
have the thing, that's right.
Well, just the other items on the agenda, but no case.
Yeah.
You just have to wait so I can make copies of that.
If you have a seat, she'll take copies of that after our meeting is concluded. Okay, moving on to other business. Item number 5, board member comments and requests. This portion of the meeting is set aside for general comments, announcements, requests of staff, and other issues of concern from members of the Administrative Appeals Board. Any comments or requests? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to number 6. City attorney's reports and comments. This time is set aside for the city attorney to update the board on important matters initiated by staff. Previously requested by the board. Council, do you have anything to report?
I do. My colleague Abe, who normally covers these meetings, told me that there is a short-term rental ordinance where there are some legislative changes being made. I understand there's an ad hoc committee that was formed to evaluate those changes. He said to share with you all that he is still working on them and soon should be able to provide those proposed changes to the ad hoc committee.
Thank you. Next item, I'm sorry, was that it, Council?
That was it.
Okay. Next item, city clerk's report and future meeting dates.
The next meeting date is December 11th at 5:30.
Anything else? Okay. The time is 6:18 and this meeting is adjourned.